All right. Good afternoon, friends. Chelsea Colley here. I hope this reaches you well. Today we have a wonderful guest. All right. Good afternoon, friends. Where'd we go here? Here we go. Sorry about that. Hello. We have a wonderful guest, Mr. Anthony Mowery. Welcome, Anthony.
How you doing, Chelsea? It's good to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. We planned this a few weeks ago, and yeah, I'm really excited to have this talk. And we can talk a little bit about entity attachments, trapped souls, false light, maybe cover a little bit talking about like reincarnation and kind of all kinds of fun, super fun topics that don't get a lot of coverage, right?
Yeah, right. So,
Well, welcome. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about who you are?
absolutely. I'm Tony Mowery. My handles are Ropes and Wings on all my social, and my website is ropesandwings.com. But I'm a soul center healing hypnosis practitioner, and it's been a few months now that I've done that. But the reason that this interview got started, Chelsea, was because you did a session with me, and
Yes, sir.
we had an amazing session. So we need to talk about that today.
Yes. Don't get on me. I'm already in trouble. Making sure we're live here. Yeah, and honestly, that was such a game changer. It really did like remove a lot. I felt a lot lighter after that. And it was hard work. I kind of expected it to just be like easy and relaxing, and then it's channeling, right? So it was pretty heavy. Like it felt like hard work.
Mm-hmm. Well, you expected me to do all the work for you, but
Right.
this, I mean, I like to call it heal yourself therapy. All we are is just a guide, a voice to help you take you on a tour of your inner landscape and figure out what kind of emotional and traumatic blockages you have, either from childhood, from past lives, or entities. We talk about entities a lot here now because they're coming up now, because we got to release them. Entities like earthbound spirits that didn't transition well, or we got lost from light entities that have are here to do ill will to us, to keep us blocked, to keep us from having that connection. And so we assist you, like taking you on a tour, on a guided tour of that. It's like a guided meditation is all it is, but we help you to remove those and heal from those blockages. I mean, I really think that we ought to talk about the electric body. I talk about it every time I have an interview or we talk or something like that. But the medical system wants you to believe that these are mechanical bodies. They're not mechanical. It's all electrical, and it's proven there in the medical caduceus when you have the pole and the two snakes that are wound up the pole. To me, that's an electrical diagram of how the body works. So you have that neutral pole that runs up the center, which is up your spine. And then you have the negative and positive snakes that cross the pole. And where they cross is your energy centers or your chakra points. And so if there's a blockage, if there's an attachment, if there's an entity, emotional, traumatic baggage that you've been carrying with you on any of those flow points, where the energy can't flow, it runs into a wall. It's like having a kink wire or a broken wire. It just the energy just keeps impacting there, and then it builds up and builds up, and then it manifests into physical as a ailment or a disease or pain or something like that. And we essentially have a new body every 7 years. Through cell replication, we have a new body. So, and the reason that disease keeps progressing forward is we're carrying forward that blockages, those baggages that we carry. We never knew we had them, And we feel as we're going through life, we keep getting weighted more and more down, and we just never knew we had them. And once you release those blockages and that energy can flow, the body gets back into balance, and it can heal, and it can heal from anything. And I'm sure it can heal from any disease that we have out there if we take care of it. So
Where does it start? Like, you mentioned the caduceus, is that what it's called, with the, the
yeah.
medical symbol with the little
Mhm.
snake thing? Is it supposed to start down here?
Yeah,
Or
so
is it kind of like start at the top
there,
and the bottom?
I don't know for sure, but I mean, there's chakra points outside of our body system, but in our body, you got the root chakra, which is at the base of the spine.
Yeah.
And then you got your sacral, which is seated right at your pelvis area, seated right there. That's your joy center. That's the most impacted energy center that we have. That's your joy. And if
Wow.
they have control of the sacral, which that's why, that's your sensuality, that's your creativity, that's your joy. If they have control of that sacral, that's why we have so much, porn, sex stuff, because they can control that energy center. They can control all the rest of the energy centers, and keeps the blockage and the flow. So you can't connect with source, or you can't connect with the earth. And then above the sacral, then you have your solar plexus chakra, which is your inner power. It's your sun. It's your fire. And then the next one up, you have your heart chakra, which is, that's where the healing comes from your heart. If there's any blockage in that, a hug is healing, touch is healing.
Mm.
We bring energy in from the left hand, send it out with the right. It's a big toroidal field, and our the healing space around us in normal people is 6 foot, but that magnetic resonance probably goes out more than that, probably 12 foot in someone that has their heart chakra open. And then above the heart chakra, you got the throat chakra, which is speaking your truth and your communication. A lot of impact there to the throat chakra, a lot. And then you got your third eye chakra, which is very important for that spiritual connection, your spiritual vision, your, seeing people's energy. And then you got your crown chakra, and that's just on our physical body. Now there's other chakra points outside the physical body that I'm not really too familiar with, but that's the gist of it with those energy centers.
Right. I mean, for me, I know that like I carry a lot of the pain in my midsection and in my belly area. And so when you have those trapped emotions, how does it affect
Well, it's like I said, go
the
ahead.
energy? Yeah.
Well, it just builds up over time. It puts a fracture or break in your aura, which allows things to attach to you, like entities or lost from light souls that are trying to do harm. So it puts a fracture in that aura that they can get in and attach to your energetic field. Now, when I say that entities or beings are attached to you, they're not actually attached to your physical body. They're attached in your energetic field that's around you. So, but the energetic field around us impacts our physical, the internal landscape of us.
What kind of entities are you finding most commonly?
Well, anything. I mean, we got earthbound souls, which are souls that come out of the human body and did not transition right. They did not go back to the light of source so they can continue on with another journey or do what they need to. And a lot of that is influenced. We don't transition right because either we have an emotional state when we leave the human body, like we're angry, we want to seek vengeance, we're not ready to leave yet, so we stay in this realm and not transition to the light like we're supposed to. The other thing, like addictions, if you died from an addictions, you would die and you don't really know what happened to you. You're just out of the body. You have the same emotions. You're like trapped in a stasis, and you have the same emotions that you had when you had a physical body, but now you don't have a physical body. People can't hear you, they can't see you, and they end up wandering around. And because usually if an earthbound soul is stuck in stasis in this realm and didn't transition properly, they're at a low vibrational frequency, usually because of emotional issues like anger, fear, um, and stuff like that. So when we get into that state of fear, pain, um, those emotional problems, that emotional trauma that we experience in this life, then it acts like a vacuum. They get attracted to our light, and they're hanging out with us either because they're looking for help or they need a place to go, they're lost. And then because we're vibrating at the same frequency that they are, because we're in fear, we're in pain, we're angry, then that just sucks just together, just like a vacuum. Then they're stuck together. So that's your earthbound souls. And and through religions and everything else, people come out of the body and they don't. I think Buddhists are the only ones that tell people how they need to transition when they die. But with religion and stuff, people feel like they're not worthy to go to the light because they've done something wrong, or they just don't feel like they're worthy. They committed suicide, so they don't feel like they're worthy, and then they're stuck here and they don't transition right. And then you have your loss from light entities. I don't like to call them dark because they're just lost from light. I have about a lot of love and compassion for these entities. They've just been deceived and lied to do a task or a job to keep people blocked from realizing who they actually are, from making that connection to Gaia and to source, and realizing what we truly are, which is we're creator beings. And so they
You
want
call
to
that
keep
loss of light?
lost from light. They're just
Loss from
lost.
light?
They're just lost from the light. They're the same as us. They're just lost from the light. They've just been deceived.
Are they deceased?
No, these would be just entities. Energy. It would just be just energy that somehow they were deceived to do a job. I've actually I consider these sessions to be rescue missions.
Yeah.
We're going in and rescuing people that are lost, or souls that are lost from light, and helping them to transition and alchemize back to the light where we're all from.
So these
And
could be like past humans, but then also they could be like spiritual entities, like
the lost from light ones have never been a human. They're just their energy. They're other beings. I've actually had some great rescues where I've actually rescued fallen angels that were deceived by the dark to do things for the dark to keep us not connected. So
not many people can say that.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But I mean that's a pretty incredible rescue though, when you
What do you
have.
do for a living? Oh, I rescue fallen angels.
Yeah, I'm a demon slayer, and I rescue the fallen, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's pretty crazy. So your loss from light entities have never had a human body. They just, their energy, they're other beings that have been lied to and deceived to do work for darker sources, if you will. So, and it's pretty incredible. And a lot of kids are trapped like that. The souls are trapped, and they're forced to do, because a lot of we'll call them demons just because that's how we can refer to them, I guess. But some kids, the souls of kids are used as that. That's the reason for the torture and everything else. So, and that's a lot of the demons. They have a childlike what's the word I'm looking for? A childlike personality about them, if you will.
There's some people believe that when children die, that they don't get stuck here, like that they automatically go to the light.
I would like to say that, and I would like to think that, and I wish that they would, but I guess it depends on how that they died. Is usually if it's a very traumatic event, they end up with the confusion and stuff. They don't transition, because we do rescue quite a few child souls
There
that
was
have,
one from me, like there
right.
was, yeah.
And I don't remember the details of yours, I think.
I think he drowned. I think he was a child that drowned when he
Right.
was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would love to believe that the children go to the light, but unfortunately, there's a lot of things that we don't know about trapped souls. And unfortunately, it looks like they designed the whole system that way. Not only is religion really like messing with our heads and screwing with us while we're alive, but they're still doing it after we're gone too. That's
And
that's pretty terrible.
and a lot of it's the confusion, and a lot of souls, they're so young, they're meant to be here in this realm. They were meant to experience something, and they don't transition because, wow, I'm too young. I'm too young to be gone. I want to stay here and do what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
I can remember one child soul that I helped rescue was actually had fallen into a well, and she was like 2 years old or whatever, and fell into the well. And because she did, it was a traumatic event, didn't know what happened, so she was wandering and attached to a living person. And a lot of times the child souls will attach to women because women are the nurturers, and they attach that way. It's a place to be. So it's pretty crazy. It's some crazy stuff we're talking about here.
Yeah, for sure. And then also the other entities, there can be AI, right? You do a lot of
Yes.
that.
It can be AI and black magic and all kinds of stuff that we remove on these sessions. There was one thing I was going to say about that now. Yeah, it'll
Talking
come
about
back.
kids.
It'll come back to me. It was about kids, I think, but I don't remember what it was. But we'll come back to that if I remember.
Yeah, I mean, so like for the session that we did, like I had actually 4 different like trapped entities, and 3 of them were male and 1 of them was female. And it felt like the female one was really dark, and it was like in my root chakra.
Yeah.
And but the other ones I don't feel like were evil or anything. But so these trapped entities, why do they attach themselves, and what do they do? Like they kind of like suck the life force, right? I mean, they're kind of,
Yeah, your loss from light entities do. The ones that are placed there by the dark, placed there, they suck our energy. They tap the life force. They live off the energy. They live off the light of the energy centers. So, and it's really funny because I use it too, is because they're told to fear the light, that they can't let the light come in, but yet they're living off the light. They have to have the light to survive. So, to fear it doesn't make any sense. So,
that's something that they say, because I didn't know that. I just recently listened to your most recent video with Heather, and that was discussed, but they actually say like they're taught to fear the light.
Yeah, taught to fear the light. And so yet they use the light. They have to have the light to survive, or they can't survive.
Right.
Now, that's your
And
loss.
you point it out to them and you're like, does that really make sense to you?
No, not at all. It doesn't make any sense.
Y'all,
so
he has a really good way of talking to these entities. Like, you're really good with them, like, because he comes across, they're all, a lot of them can get pretty nasty, right? You've probably heard a lot of fuck offs.
Yeah, I heard of that. A lot of that. And
but you're very good with them, and you're very gentle, and he comes from a place of protecting the person, like protecting the person that you're doing the hypnosis on.
Absolutely. And I think with all the past lives and stuff that we've had, we've probably done a lifetime where we've had a darker life. If, they're all the same. So if I fell into the darkness and I didn't know how to get out, and I was in this miserable despair, I would like for someone's voice to come through there and go, I'm here to help you. and lift you out. And that's the point. That's where I go to. We're not only helping the client, we're helping a ton of souls through this process. And you were saying about the entities, living or sucking off the light. Sucking off the light. That didn't sound very good. I'm sorry.
Off the life force. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're feeding off the life force. So, but your the earthbound spirits, the ones that had a human body and didn't transition well, what happens with them is they get attached to us because of, they didn't transition because they're at a low vibrational frequency, because of fear, because of anger, because of all these emotional things that they have. So they get attached to us because we're a vibrational match, because of the stress we're going through, the trauma we're going through. So they're a match, and then they attach to us. But what happens is they're basically stuck in a stasis. So all the emotional issues and problems that they had when they had a human body, they carry with them. And so now all of a sudden, because they're, attached to you now you are experiencing those same things. So if you had a drug addict that was a drug addict when it had a human body, if it didn't transition, it's still going to want that fix. And so then you might find that all of a sudden you have a drug problem, and for no reason whatsoever, it's just there. So, but we pick up all the emotional stuff that they had.
I actually want to pull up, you have in your description box of your videos, like the one that I saw that most recently with Heather Hink, is it?
Yes.
Which you were trained by Laura Whitworth, who is really amazing. But on that description, I actually took the notes from that. So I was going to pull up the signs that you have an entity. I thought maybe we could look at that together.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
So maybe you could talk about signs, maybe just give an overview. How do you know if you have an entity? And then we can kind of like read through this a little bit.
Well, everybody has an entity. There's not very many people out there that don't. So, and there's quite, pretty much every one of these things on here, and you can read them yourself there, anxiety, sadness, depression, anger, low frequency thoughts, feeling stuck or inactive. I mean, I think everybody can say, oh yeah, I feel that way, for sure. And if, we don't, it's hidden from us. We don't know that this stuff affects us this bad. We didn't know that we were supposed to protect ourselves from picking up these things. And your biggest protection is, carrying that internal sun so bright that nothing can get to you, making sure that you have protections around you so that stuff can't get to you. But every one of these issues here, someone out there is saying, oh, I got that for sure. So there's very few people that don't have some kind of entity or attachment. I mean, from the very first time we're born, it's all trauma. Even the childbirth process is trauma. Bringing you into the hospital, it's trauma. It's all made to cause trauma, which when we got trauma, we pick up attachments, we pick up entities, we pick up these things that bring all this stuff on us. And we just never knew that.
Yeah, absolutely. So anger issues, infertility, inability to speak one's truth, coughing when speaking. That's interesting.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot.
Well, yeah, too. And when a client's coughing in a session or whatever, I know immediately that we need to look at the throat area, because there's something there. There's something saying, hey, I'm here. Don't forget about me. So
that reminds me, my friend Michelle, who is like a truther, and every time she starts doing videos and she's live, then she gets the hiccups. It's like, what is causing those hiccups every time?
Could be, maybe you need to get her in for a session. We'll find out if there's something there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Not finding your thoughts, slow response to questions, quick to anger, gaps in memory. That was interesting. and pain in the body, pressure in the shoulder blades, lack of drive and motivation, pain in the body where the blockage is attached.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you can see those.
everybody has some kind of can relate to anything on that list. I mean, it's very common. And
So
so
it's
there's very go ahead.
so we can have this emotional trauma that's like causing blockages in our body and release the trauma, but then still not get unstuck because we think it's released, but there could be an entity attached.
It's true. Could be. And so, those blockages are caused by numerous things. We have emotional trauma through our lives all the time. And so those,
Yeah.
and we're told not to feel, we're told not to share emotion, but that's the release. Crying is the release. Guys are told not to cry, not to show emotion. Well, that's the release. That's the release of that emotional trauma that we experience. And so we don't release it. Then it impacts more, causes a fracture in the aura. Then you can have the entities and stuff like that attached to you, which causes more problems. So, we're releasing emotional childhood trauma. We're removing entities. We're removing attachments. And once we get all that stuff removed, then that flow of energy can just flow and the body can go back into balance and start healing.
Right.
So
that's beautiful. Do you want to talk a little bit about how it works if someone wants to book a session with you?
Yeah, we could talk about that. So how we do it with our technique is right from the very beginning. Most of us were trained in other hypnosis techniques, which we ran into blockages, which we found out these blockages are the entities that won't let you progress to see a past life or get questions from the higher self because you don't have that connection. Mm-hmm. So in our sessions, and what we do is we're removing the entities and the blockages in the front end of the session. That way we have a good free flowing session. The rest of we can see a scene or a past life that we need to see, and we can get our higher self questions that you have that you want answers for. Gives you a better perspective on what this life's about, what we're here to do. But it was always the blockages, the entities in the front end, not allowing the hypnosis to continue, not allowing you to make that connection. So once we move those off the front end, then it makes for a better connection and it makes for a better session.
Connecting directly to the higher self.
Correct.
That's really cool. So if you have questions for your higher self, you really want to know, but for whatever reason you feel like you can't connect, he actually gives you a page where you can write down like 10 questions for your higher self. So that was really cool. I wasn't expecting that. That's a cool part of the session.
And even in the higher self section, we're so cut off from our connection to our higher self, our inner voice. We're told not to follow it. That, those questions that you ask, most people say, I already knew the answers to those questions. Well, you did, because your higher self is you at a higher dimension, but you're just not paying attention to it anymore. You need some kind of not reassurance, but confirmation that it is your higher self, that message is coming from your higher self. And the higher self is that still soft voice that is always loving and always has your best interest in mind. And we just don't listen to it anymore. We're cut off from it. We're told not to trust it. So, but yeah.
Your process is really nice. Like you, the way you started, and then the way you clear it and you invite the angels in, and you really feel supported through the whole process. And he also uses his like tuning forks to ding to help clear it after you've removed it. Yeah, you have a really gentle way of helping these entities go to the light.
Yeah. It's that, like I said before, it's a rescue mission for me. We're helping the lost to the light. And that we're passing white light over the body, which brings these things up in the body. And it brings up pain, feelings, and stuff like that when we pass the white light over the body. And that's an entity or a blockage there that we need to look at. And then we focus deeper on it to find out what it is, whether it's just trapped emotional energy, whether it's an entity, an earthbound or lost from light entity. And then we start talking to it. We start a conversation with it. We find out its story. We find out what point in your life it attached to you. So it gives you an idea what you were going through at the time that it was able to attach. Like, so you can keep your protections up or your vibration higher, your frequency higher, moving forward, so you can better protect yourself. And then we're going to find out what issues it's been causing you since it's been attached. Because like with earthbounds, it brings all of their baggage with them too. And then you have that on top of it. But we want to find out what issues it's causing. I mean, it can be anything from thoughts being put into your head, to pain, to, feelings of being held back because they don't want you to progress forward. There's such a huge range, and every session is so different. And then the tuning forks, and I use the tuning forks when we bring in healing light, and hearing that frequency of that, because each color has its own frequency, and hearing that in your ears just makes it so much more powerful. The healing is more powerful with the tuning forks. So
Right. Yeah, and the way that he has a process. So all these things he's saying, he's not just saying it, like, you actually answer these questions. These are all part of the process. So you will find exactly like how this entity died and all of the things you said, like how, what pain you had that allowed them in, and how old were you at that time, and what are the pains that they're causing you now. So you're going to have all of these answers once you're done with your session. And I love like the gentle way you help them get to the place of ready.
mhm.
And then once they're ready, then you like come in with the net and you're like, okay, you're entering the net. And then they're going up, and then you ask if they have a message for you. And then you ask if you have a message for them.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's just really, it's a really beautiful process.
It's a
I don't
beautiful
think
release.
it's really beautiful work. I mean, it's very, very, very important work that no one else is doing. Very few others are doing.
Mhm. And I love using the angels to assist in it, because the messages that come through with the angels and the help and stuff that we get from the angels doing these sessions is incredible. And
Right.
and so, I mean, they're there for healing. They're there to help the entities transition, to give them messages, to show them what they're missing or what they lost. It's absolutely incredible. And
Yeah.
it's like a hostage negotiation for me.
Yeah.
I'm doing a hostage negotiation every client that we have. So it's
Literally, it's exactly like that.
mhm, perfect. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he has a lot of on your channel, you have a lot of recordings of people that you can go on and listen to their hypnosis session.
Hmm.
And the one you recently did was very interesting too.
With Heather's,
Yeah.
yeah, her higher self questions, because there's a lot of questions that we have as practitioners too that we ask in that session, and got some really good answers on it. So check that video out if you get a chance. It was a really good video. And so we should talk about your session, Chelsea.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
power packed. We can totally.
let's talk about yours. I mean, we
Okay.
we removed there was a drug deal going bad. I don't
Yeah.
remember Zeke, he got shot in a drug deal going bad,
Yeah.
but I can't remember what issues and
Right
stuff
here.
he was causing you for.
Zeke, Mike, there was another guy, and then there was a girl.
Yeah, And so, but each one, and you could feel those energies lift off you when we did it, right?
Yeah. And I didn't believe, it's almost like my conscious mind is still conscious, right? So I didn't believe the words that were coming out of my mouth, yet I have tears streaming down my face. So that's how I knew it was true.
Right.
Because when you were releasing, it was releasing tears out of my eyes,
And it's hard for me as a practitioner. I mean, there's times that I'm crying doing these because the stories are so emotional. And laughing. I mean, I laugh a lot too because they're funny. So some of them are funny, and they just, they're just lost. They just need help. They just need help to transition.
Yeah.
So, and then, then you got to see some scenes that you needed to see in the past life regression, and then you got a lot of your higher self questions answered. So
Yeah. And there was a time where I, in my session, needed to speak to my future son. And so, like you said, go to the next place, and all of a sudden we were at this cabin in the woods, and I had a talk with Jackson, and Jackson was like in his 20s. And he gave us advice on like some things that we can try right now, that we can help him with now. So that was super special too.
So it's just this big, huge, super healing session.
Yeah.
Removing the blockages, opening up communication, and getting messages that you need to hear and see right now to help you with the journey that you're on and what you're doing. So it's pretty incredible.
It's really incredible because like you learn who you really are. And like I could really feel who my higher self was. Her name is Alexandra. I wanted to know her name. That was very important to me. Yeah. And I already knew it. Like but I guess I just needed that confirmation. Yeah, her name was really Alexandra. I've always liked that name in my life. So I had suspected that was her name, and it was. Right. But she was different than me in that she was an old soul that had lived all of these lives, and she had advice for me. And yeah, very, very cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you just needed that confirmation. You knew it was true. You just needed that confirmation that it was. So.
Yeah, that was really cool. Do you want to talk a little bit about what false light is?
Well, I guess, and if you get a chance, watch the video with Heather. I was facilitating Heather's session, and she had asked that question because it comes up a lot. We're told that the false light, there used to be a trap, a reincarnation trap that was put in place to keep us in this loop, to keep us reincarnating. I don't know necessarily whether that was true or not, or if it is true. We have heard that it's been taken down, told that it's been taken down. But when I'm working through a session, I've had numerous times in sessions that I'm transitioning, especially in Earthbound. That's where there's usually a question, is because when I transition Earthbound, I have them go back to the day that they died, and I have them look around for source light. Source light is the light that pulls you toward, draws you towards it like a magnet or many, many strings. And I've had them look for source light, and they go, oh yeah, I see it. There's a ladder I got to climb to go into it. I'm like, nope, that's not the right one. You got to look, and the angels are going to help you focus on that light and find that light you're supposed to go to. And I've had another one where, oh, a tunnel just opened up of light. I'm like, oh, no, that's not it either. You don't need to go down any tunnels. Wow. The source light is going to draw you towards it, and the angels will help you find that light. And then I've actually had, they say that they see the light, and I always ask them who's waiting for them in that light. Who's waiting there for us? Because it's always, a family member, it's angels, it's some spectacular person, not spectacular, some ascended master or something like that that's waiting for them, which always has a beautiful message for them, and it actually brings tears to their eyes too, because they've been a long time since they saw that person. They've been missing them. It's just incredible. So I always ask who's there and what message they have. And if the message comes through that's not very positive and not very loving, well, that's not the right light either. That's not where we're supposed to go. So again, I'll have them look for the proper light, which is the light of source that pulls you towards it, draws you towards it like many, many magnets. It'll just pull you towards it. Just let it go. Allow yourself to go into it. So that's how I check, is it's always the messages. And that goes for everything, whether it's videos we watch, whether it's people that we watch. If it gives you an icky, sticky feeling, don't watch it. That doesn't resonate with you. It's not your content. You don't need to hear it. But if it makes you feel uplifted and joyful and loving and loved, that's the message. That's the message you need to hear. So that's how we tell whether it's false light or not. And I don't know if that is all true, whether it's taken down now. I believe that it is. And most of the entities that I cross now are, I usually ask them what year they come out of the human body, and they'll give me a year. So maybe in that year, it was a long time ago, maybe there was a false light trap that they were supposed to go to.
You're talking about the reincarnation trap.
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Right. 'Cause I asked you about that before we got on. There's a lot of people have talked about this, and then also there's several people right now that are saying that they've had confirmation that the cabal has no longer has the reincarnation trap, and that is no more. Whatever.
yeah.
We don't know. We don't know what the truth is.
I'm not so I don't know. I don't really listen to too many other people's stuff. I just kind of I mean, I really kind of blessed because I kind of have a front row seat to all the good information coming in.
Right.
So I feel kind of blessed in that way, that I got a lot of information coming in my sessions and stuff. I'm like, oh wow, this is great. So I don't really feel like I have to listen to too many people. I don't know where I was going with that. So I don't know. I don't know about the false light. I don't know if it's true or not. But I do know that in sessions that I've had entities, when I'm trying to transition them, they were seeing a light that they weren't supposed to be going towards, and we fixed that by the messages that was coming through that light. It made them feel joyful and happy, and it was the proper light. So
That's really cool. That makes me think of, I actually watched a video yesterday too from Taylor Moon. And I don't know if you know who she is, but she's real spiritual, and she talks about different stuff, and she reads tarot cards, and she was saying that she had this vision, and it was this man, and he seemed nice enough, but he had this book, and he was like, don't you want this book? This book has all the answers to every question in it. And she had a weird feeling about it, and she kind of backed off from him, and then he transitioned into like some kind of a monster.
right.
But you recognize that, and obviously you find the real light before you send the entities off.
And right, and just like with her though, she had a bad vibe, and we didn't vibe with them for a reason. It's that way in our language. It wasn't a vibrational match. It didn't feel right. It was her higher self saying, no, no, you don't need that.
Right.
So, and she was able to identify it, and if it makes you feel icky and sticky, it's not what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I recently kind of got like attacked and labeled a little bit, just because I went to the Truth Tour event last week.
Hmm.
And, there's people that say that 90% of the truther movement has been infiltrated, which may very well be true. I don't know, but the people that I met, it seemed really positive to me.
Hmm.
So there is a group out there, and it's I feel like they're putting a lot of fear out, and they're contradicting themselves a lot, and
Hmm.
um there's a lot of hypocrisy going on, and our whole truther spiritual community is trying to be split. And
Hmm.
I just don't we've got to be really careful and use our discernment really well right now, and really pay attention to like these icky feelings if we're watching somebody,
Yeah.
that we really stay true to that, because that's really when we make mistakes, is when we don't listen to our intuition.
Hmm.
But I don't want to put fear out there. I don't want to put a lot of fear out there into the collective, and I don't want to tell anybody what to do, or who to follow or who not to follow. Because I don't want to put any shame out there. Like, I'm so tired of the condemnation. And it's
Hmm.
like there's a lot of people that are fresh out of religion saying, oh, religion is bad, real bad. But you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this. It's like you're condemning me the way that they condemned you.
Hmm.
So there is a lot of that happening right now. So I'm glad that we did discuss that topic of false light.
Hmm. And that's what's really important, is follow your intuition, follow your inner guidance, and and shine that internal light, shine that fire bright so nothing can touch you. God's armor, put it on every day. Nothing can get to you. I mean, I'm a demon slayer. I mean, I don't actually slay demons, but in a sense I am. But I more or less am just alchemizing them to the light. It's a free will universe. I'm getting them to choose whether or not they want to go back home to the light, where they're from, where we're all from. So,
And we
but,
can't live in fear anymore. We
no,
just can't do it. So if somebody's trying to put fear in your head or tell you you're doing something wrong when you know that you're not hurting anybody
yeah, yeah,
and you're doing what you believe is right, then be
absolutely.
proud of yourself. Yeah. And I love, because that's where you started. You really started at raise your vibration and make your light so bright that nothing can touch you, pretty
Hmm.
much. And then we
Yep,
kind of
yep.
went full circle.
I mean, we did, didn't we? And that's the most important protection, is just keeping your light so bright that nothing can touch you, and putting on God's armor every day, or however you want to see it. Our intuition and our thoughts are powerful. We're creator beings. So no matter what you envision to protect you from these things getting attached to you, it will be done. And it doesn't matter. And they try to make it so difficult because they know what we're going to do before we remember what we're going to do, which is unfortunate because we're playing catch up. And where was I going with that? I lost my thought. But
Shine
anyway,
bright like a diamond.
right, right. Oh, there's something I was looking. Yeah, there's something I was going with it. But our protections are important. But they know what we're going to do before we remember, and it's really unfortunate. And we need to realize that we're all healers, we're all warriors, and we're all creators, and we need to live like that and get back to that joy, get back to that childhood wonder and amazement that we've lost. um and a lot of the spiritual community, it is splitting. They try to make like meditation, that's what I was trying to get to. They try to make meditation out to be a difficult thing. It is not difficult whatsoever. Me me just relaxing on the lazy boy is meditation. It's not that hard. Being out in nature is meditation. It's not that difficult. just
So
being.
someone could meditate in the shower.
Absolutely. That's the best place. I mean, there's a lot of good messages that come out in the shower because that contact with the water is incredible because it's grounding. Water is grounding. Grounding out in nature, being barefoot is amazing. That's a great place to meditate. You don't even have to be barefoot. Hug a tree, sit against a tree. It's good meditation. And just being, but they make it difficult. And I have a lot of clients that come to me that, they, and it even in the question, meditation always comes up in the questions. And the reason I bring up meditation is because it's made to seem so difficult, and it's really not. And meditation is brought up a lot in the higher self questions to a lot of affix to a lot of our problems and issues, grounding and meditation. And when I ask, what practice can they use for meditation because they feel like it's difficult for them to do, and they're told it's simple. You just have to just be in nature. It's a double, it's even more powerful when you're in nature, grounded in nature, meditating and being. And the water is important. And it goes back to goes back to what I said about electrical system. We need water in electrical systems to function right well. So stay hydrated with good water. So,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it's all made to be more difficult than it is. It's not hard. Not hard at all.
But people really, I mean, I would think people would need help with entity removal. And it's not really something that somebody can do on themselves, or I don't know. You really need some good training for that, right? I mean,
You can do it. You can do it yourself. And that's why I call this heal yourself therapy, because
okay.
a few sessions, you will be able to clear and clean yourself. I'm just a guide helping you to remember how we used to do it, how to get into that deep meditative state, that daydream state where all the healing occurs and all the messages come in. And, that's all hypnosis is. We're in hypnosis multiple times during the day, at least twice a day, once before we go to sleep and once right when we wake up. And when we're driving our cars, we're daydreaming, we're in a hypnotic state. When we're doing mundane tasks, we're in a hypnotic state. So you can actually do it yourself. You can actually clean and clear yourself. And even as a practitioner, at least every few months, I like to go to another practitioner and get a checkup, get a well-being check, have them help you get stuff off of you that you just can't get to. You might have that tick on your back or that monkey on your back. You just can't reach and need help with another healer to get off. It's really helpful. But you can, over time, do it yourself. It's not that difficult. And you go through a session with us and you can clean and clear just like we do of the entities and just help them transition to the light. We can all do it. So we're helping everybody to remember how we used to do it and get back to that, get back to our true self.
That's awesome. That's really powerful. And it's really reassuring, when the healer says, you're doing the work. I'm just helping you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's when people are like, you have to see me and you have to keep coming back to me and keep paying me money. And all this is like when we get into that kind of like guru situation. And that's not helpful for us. Like, we really need to be able to do this work ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I felt, so how do you, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, it goes back to the old adage that you can, let's see now if I can get this right. You can give someone fish and help feed them, but if you taught them how to fish, they'd be able to feed themselves. So, which is more powerful? Me teaching you how to help heal and get the answers you need and make that connection, as opposed to me just doing it for you. It's just more powerful when you're doing it. And yeah, I think it's just more important for us to help people remember and train them how to do it themselves. I think that's important.
Is there any kind of like daily practice or any kind of releasing energy thing that you would recommend? Because I felt like once I did do that, then everything else is like trying to get back in.
Mhm.
I
And they
felt
do
like,
that.
oh, okay, my body's clear now, and now everything just wants to attach to me, and I'm like, no.
Right. And that's why we do, once we clear off all the entities and stuff like that, we do that chakra balance and energy center rebuild. And then we rebuild the aura and strengthen that aura. And you can just envision, if you feel your aura is getting weak, you can just envision, and with the tuning forks, I have you pick a color or a frequency to help you to reinforce your aura. And you could just envision that frequency and just imagine that aura getting stronger and stronger around you, whether it's a bubble, whether you want to use pyramids, um, to surround you with protection, and nothing can get into you unless you allow it. But if you don't allow it, it can't do anything. It can't get to you. So, like for me, and it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter. You can envision anything can protect you. I mean, I have a pen sitting here. I could take this pen, and we're so powerful and we're creator beings. I can put intention into this pen that is going to protect me, and it will. It doesn't matter what you envision. You just envision being protected by something. For me, I look like a warrior. It's always putting on God's armor, full armor of God every morning when I get up. I'm putting on the armor. I envision me putting on the armor. I'm carrying my sword of truth. I'm carrying my shield of belief and my love bow that I like to carry to shoot everything that triggers me or annoys me and watch it all change. And then I'm just surrounding myself with bubbles of light protection that nothing can get to me. And that's something that you should do, in the morning and at nighttime. Put your protections around you before you go to bed and in the morning when you wake up, or anytime you have to go out into the craziness, um, out around other people, maybe lower vibrational energies. Put up those protections around you. It's a good practice. And one thing too is when you feel like you are getting, like you're shattered. I mean, there's times I was so busy that I felt just scattered and shattered. Just getting barefoot and getting out in nature and just grounding, and you can just feel it just bleed right out of you. Just all those negative feelings and emotions just disappearing as it just goes away. And even in the shower, you can envision in the shower being washed away, washed with diamonds of light, just rinsing all that stuff off you. I mean, that's a good practice that I use too. And all you got to do is envision it, is think about it. And your intuition and your thoughts are powerful. So it doesn't matter what you do. That's why it's so simple.
Awesome. And you have that intention of being protected,
Hmm.
because it's all about intention. I keep hearing you say that.
Yep. Intention, thought and intention. And, it's just like reframing negative thoughts that come in too. Where'd that thought come from? Well, let's reframe it. Instead of saying, I'm sick, let's say I'm healing. That changes the thought, makes it happen, makes it so.
Right.
It works.
That's
Right.
good. Good stuff. So we're going to transmute any negative and negativity,
Hmm.
and we're going to stand tall,
Yeah.
deep breath, stand proud, rebuild that aura,
Hmm.
and protect ourselves with that bubble of light energy when we need it.
Yes.
And yeah,
Sure.
do that. Have some kind of rituals that you do like morning and night, whether it's raining diamonds or protecting yourself with a ballpoint pen.
Well, that's just an example, that ballpoint pen. Don't know if crystals, whatever
I'm
you want
just
to
being
use. It
silly.
doesn't matter. Yeah. But there's actually, to what drives it home more for me, and what maybe started me on this, I don't like to say remembering, but started me on this great remembering for me, was I watched the video, or the documentary, The Secret Life of Water. If anybody has ever seen that, have you seen that documentary, The Secret Life of Water, by Dr. There's a Japanese doctor where he studied
Emoto.
water. Emoto, that's it. He studied water. That one,
I think I have that actually.
that documentary hits it home on how we are such powerful creator beings and our thoughts are powerful because everything is made of water. And if we can change water with our thoughts, good thoughts, positive thoughts, we can change anything. And it doesn't take much of negative stuff to change your whole composition. So just avoid it. Don't allow it.
Right. Yeah. So if our thoughts can change a cup of water, then our thoughts can change ourselves in an instant.
In an instant, the whole composition, just totally. I mean, we talk about this before. You watched our Tuesday talks with Kaz, Heather, and I. I'm a firm believer in sleep fit. I 100% believe that we can change our looks with our thought.
What's that?
We can change our looks with our thought. I call it sleep fit. So
Sleep fit.
before I go to bed, if there's something I want to change, I want to be better. I'm reverse agent anyway. So, but before I go to bed, if I envision what I want to be or look like, that's sleep fit. Right in that hypnotic state before I go to sleep, I envision what I want to be or be like, and that's what I'll be.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. We have the power. Yeah, we keep thinking, or I mean, for me, it's like I've spent so much time like paying for this program, like trying to look everywhere for all the answers and to try to get the skills that I need, but we have them already.
It's all inside you. It's all inside you.
Yeah.
We just have to unleash it.
Awesome. Well, I will put your link in the description box. And if you do want to book a session with Anthony, you won't regret it. He's going to help you through the process. He's going to be your gentle companion and just get you through. Like, first, if you book it, you'll get an email, and then it has a link to a video in it about, how to prepare. And it's all very specific and laid out. And you have a very foolproof process that you have. I guess, because of training with Laura Whitworth, it's all super simple and laid out. And you guys have done this a lot. How did you get started with this? It's something I meant to ask you. How did you get started with Laura?
Well, I mean, it's kind of I've only been on this journey for maybe about 2 years. And I started, I saw, Dolores Cannon and saw her stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's what I need. I need past life regression. And then I ended up getting certified in beyond quantum healing hypnosis and did a few sessions with some close friends and family, but I kept running into blocks. And I'm like, what are these blocks? These blocks were like dark entities that were there, not letting the person progress any further in a past life or seeing what they need to see. And I'm like, there's something there. There's another tool I need to help get that removed. And then I actually saw Laura talking about removing entities. And I'm like, that is who I need right there, Laura.
Right.
And about the time I found her, Heather had started, because she just took Laura's class and she started removing entities in her sessions. And I was listening to all her sessions. I'm like, how do I find this lady that taught her how to do it? And then Laura popped up on my feed. And then I watched her and I'm like, oh, she's it. So I went and took her class, and then the rest is history. Now I'm a demon slayer and rescuer of souls now.
Okay. Does anybody have any last minute questions? Because I am looking at the chat. So if we do have a question, he may have time for 1 or 2 questions. It says, can you link his channel? Yes. And you can search. It's just Ropes and Wings. Ropes and Wings. AND.
And we can put that link in the description, and you can put the link for the website too in the description. Actually, I have them all in my descriptions on my YouTube channels.
Yes, I
So,
have it ready to go. It just wouldn't let me put the description when I did the Zoom, but I will do that I will do that right away, put that in the description box.
and we
If
can do
anybody,
that later.
yeah, as soon as this ends, I can do that.
We'll have it in the description box for you so you can find me. And
Yeah, so I will do that. I don't see any questions. But thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate you.
absolutely.
And this was awesome, and keep up the great work. I definitely want to book another session with you.
Absolutely. I'm ready. We'll do it. I'm glad you found me in the first place.
Maybe I'll have more time for Alexandra in our next section.
We
Zeke and Mike and Dennis, and they took a lot of time.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. You ought to edit that session and put it out there for your YouTube viewers so they could see this, what we're talking about. But I mean, it's a big help to see the process and what happens with it. So it's good to watch the sessions, but it does give you some ideas how you think the session's going, and it just doesn't happen that way. It's not this vivid movie that plays out. It just really, you just tap into that inner self and inner guidance. So
Yeah, I think my conscious mind was like in the back seat going, what?
yeah. Yes. And
my subconscious was driving. My conscious mind was like, don't say that.
right. And as many sessions as I've had done on myself too, the same thing. My conscious mind is always fighting with me, going, no, don't say that, that's bullshit. And you're like, just shut up and just sit back, and we're just let's have the adults take care of this right now. Just let it flow. Be like water. Just let it flow.
All right, well, I will put the information below. Thank you so much for your time. I call you Anthony. Are you Anthony or Tony?
Call me Tony. You can call me Tony. It doesn't matter. Anthony or Tony. Anthony's just my formal name. Until you get to know me, then it's Tony. So Tony's good.
All right, Tony. Thank you so much.
Love you, Chelsea. Love you all.
Love you so much.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.